Well, good evening, greetings, and salutations. Long time no see. This is Passionate Bliss, and I'm here again tonight with questions, comments, useless facts about me. But first, go to my online store, mypassionatebliss.myshopify.com. Check out the latest additions to the Black Love t-shirt collections. The Queen of Everything shirt is out. The King shirt is out. Go ahead and get one. There's one for you, okay? And so tonight, I named this video The Porsha Effect. And of course, I'm talking about Porsha Williams from The Real Housewives of Atlanta because of the recent scandal that she's been involved in. She is unfortunately engaged to be married to a man who is still someone else's husband and will not be divorced actually for 6 months. So there was a lot of speculation going on around about that. People think it's a storyline for the show. People think that she's a hussy, she's a home wrecker, she broke the girl code. But for me, I look at it from a different side of view, and I wanted you to entertain it as well with me. Okay, what's that? I call it the Porsha effect because I feel like what's happening to Porsha right now is a direct result of society's roles that they place on women, expectations that they place on women. And I'll go into detail about that. From the beginning of time, okay, from infancy, from childhood, women are promised that they're going to meet a handsome prince, that he's going to come and take her away from all her problems, and he's going to sweep her up on his white horse, and they're going to ride off into the sunset, and they're going to live happily ever after. And then, of course, this country promises women to have a picket fence with 2 kids and a dog. Okay, and so they sell us this bill of goods from infancy onward, from childhood onward. As far back as I can remember, the stories we read were The Princess and the Pea, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, who else? The Little Mermaid, The Frog and the Princess. In each of these stories, there's a young girl who's having all these troubles, and she's beautiful, she's virtuous, and just by doing the right thing, eventually her prince comes along. He rescues her, he saves her, he sweeps her up on this horse and takes her away. And that is something that is really ingrained in women from infancy, from childhood on. They're given a doll baby, they're taught to cook for when you have a family, for when you get married. And so there's this promise there for women that you're going to meet this wonderful man. He's going to be your soulmate, and you're going to live happily ever after. And so we grow up with that expectation, okay? The years go by, okay? Your 20s slide by, your 30s slide by, and there are more frogs than there are princes. You've kissed quite a few of them. You're getting disappointed. You're getting older. You're losing your market value. You're entering into the age, 35 and over is a high-risk pregnancy age. So you're entering in the age where there's a time limit on your ability to conceive and to have children. And so this clock is ticking. Okay, we all saw Porsha go through it on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay, Porsha was very desperate to have the baby and very desperate to be married, and so that's why I call this the Porsha effect, because it's a decision of desperation to become engaged to someone else's husband. That's desperation. It's a decision based on fear, that her expiration time is coming to an end, that she has to get somebody now. I remember when I was younger, my 20s and 30s, people would ask me what's my greatest fear. And I would say for the longest time, my fear was the fear of dying alone. Okay. And so a lot of women, they have that fear, not just of dying alone, fear that they're not going to be a mother, fear that they're not going to have a husband, that prince, and they're not going to live happily ever after that. There's a fear of loneliness. There's a fear of being alone. And so this decision, I think that Porsha made, I'm calling it the Porsha effect. Maybe it could be called the fairy tale effect. This is what happens to women when they're promised a fairy tale of this handsome prince that's going to take them away. And he never comes. Year after year goes by, he doesn't come. Okay, for Porsha, we saw her, she came on there like a little princess onto The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and she had Cordell. Okay, after a very short marriage, Cordell threw her out on the street with not a penny to her name. Destitute. She had nothing. So she started from the ground up building on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Then eventually, she kissed a few more princes, tried to have a contract baby and everything, but and she met Dennis, and it looks like he was her prince. He was a hot dog king. He was, Virgin Remy hair king. He had money, and he spoiled her, and he pampered her, and he seemed to enjoy doing it, and she loved having it, and they seemed happy together. She even, got pregnant and had a baby with him. And there was an expectation, there was an engagement as well, that she was going to live happily ever after. But that never happened. He turned out to be a cheater and a disappointment. I think she went back and forth with him for quite some time. The kid's 2 years old now, still not married, not even engaged, And she even stated that, she was still going back and forth with Dennis when her new fiance, Simon, came along. She met him. They met each other's checklist, he says. And they became engaged, even though he was still married to someone that she knew as an acquaintance, a co-worker on the show with her. And so I felt like she jumped on it, because this year in June, Porsha will be 39. She only has one child. I think I heard she would like to have children. She would like to have more, you know. And so her clock is ticking. She's high risk, you know. She was high risk with the first baby. It was a successful pregnancy, uneventful as far as we knew. But, you know, she was in the high risk age. She's getting older now. So if she wants to have that second baby, she needs to get on it, you know. And if she wants to have that husband, you know, these young girls are coming up quick. You know, she's got competition that's younger, you know. And so I felt like this was a decision made out of desperation. She jumped on it, and she went with the first thing smoking. I feel like she's desperate to be married. She wants to be settled. She wants security. She wants safety. That's what women look to men for. We look to them for safety and security, and to provide. And that's what she wants. Her best friend Shamia, she's married to a rich African. She's spoiled, you know, doesn't work. She's a housewife. I think Porsha sees that and she wants that. And it looks like she's found it. If she can hold on to him for 6 months, a lot of people predict that they won't make it 6 months. But if she can hold on to him for 6 months, then, you know, she'll have, you know, what she wanted. My question is, why did she make the announcement before the divorce was final? You know, if they're so in love, she said they're crazy in love, why couldn't they have waited 6 months for that divorce? Okay. I actually don't believe it's a storyline because, you know, Porsha's the mother. She takes that seriously. You know, what are you saying to the kids if it's for a storyline? Mommy and daddy are just pretending not to love each other, you know, for TV kids. It's not real. Okay. Mommy's pretending this is her fiance, sweetheart. It's not real. It's for money. Don't worry about it. You know, so my thing is, I don't feel like she would risk her, you know, standing in her daughter's eyes if it wasn't something that was sincere. I think we'll know for sure. If she comes back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, I feel like then it is a plot line. But if it's not a plot line, then she won't come back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So we'll see. Because I feel like she's not going to go on air and let them drag her, you know, for being engaged to somebody's husband. If it's, you know, unless it's for a plot line. Otherwise, why would she? So, and he's a millionaire. $40 million is his worth. Why would she go back? So, so I feel like we're going to be able to tell soon whether or not it's for real. And we'll see, can she hang on to him for the 6 months? I feel like one of the reasons they made this announcement before the divorce was final was because he was more concerned about showing his ex-wife, Fallon, how easily she could be replaced. There's somebody waiting to be in your spot. And I think he wanted her to see that. And he insisted on the engagement announcement. That's what I think. Because Porsha said herself, I'm aware of the optics. And being aware of the optics, Porsha would have never announced that, you know, unless she was pregnant. She says she's not. She showed up in the little skin-tight exercise outfit to show us her stomach was flat. So if she's not pregnant, why would you make the announcement now? Because Simon was more concerned about embarrassing Fallon or hurting Fallon, his ex-wife, than he was about Porsha's reputation. Because husband stealers are never forgiven, and they are never forgotten. No matter if they marry the man, they live happily ever after, they do great works afterwards, they're never forgotten that you a husband stealer. And I ain't trusting you around my husband. It never goes away, no matter what you do afterwards. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Alicia Keys. Her popularity was never the same after she stole that lady's husband, you know. But I understand Porsha, and so that's why I have a tendency to feel sorry for her more than judge her and call her huzzy, call her hoe, home wrecker, husband stealer. They've called her some of everything under the sun. They really have dragged her. But I want to say to Porsha, you know, this isn't a good omen. If he doesn't care about your reputation, he's not willing to protect your reputation, because it's more important that he embarrass Fallon or upset Fallon and show her how easily she can be replaced than it is for him to worry about your reputation. That's a sign of things to come. Will you ever be the most important thing? Will he ever put your needs above his own? So that's a good question that I came up with for Porsha to think about. It's not a good sign for the future. You'll always be compromising and bending over backwards, knowing the optics look bad. And she did it anyway, because she didn't want to risk her $40 million paycheck. Him, Simon. She's going to do whatever it takes to please him, you know, to get to that altar, to get married, so she can have that bank account, all the spending privileges that she thinks Fallon might have had, you know. And one thing Porsha also cannot forget is karma, okay? Sometimes the karma is that you get each other. Sometimes that's your karma. You get exactly what you wanted, Okay. And so what goes around comes around. It is going to come back to her. It has to, because that is one of the laws of the universe. Some people call it reaping what you sow. Some people call it, cause and effect. Some people call it, what goes up comes down. Every dog has his day. However you want to say it, it has to come back to her, because that's one of the laws of the universe. Okay? Set there by the Creator. You reap what you sow. She has to reap it, and she will, unfortunately. So I feel like she's in a position to be pitied instead of judged harshly. And I think she's in a position that, we should feel empathy for her. I wish I could say that I've never been that desperate before. But I'm 49 years old, and I have been. My prince never showed up year after year. I was waiting on that prince, and he never came. So I know how that feels. Your clock is ticking, You're kissing several frogs, So I have a lot of sympathy for her, and I feel that we should have more pity for her than we do contempt. Okay? And so with that being said, look out for the Portia effect, young ladies. Try not to get desperate. Try not to give up hope. And just work on yourself and be patient and do good things. And resist the temptation. And hopefully everything will turn out okay. With that being said, y'all have sweet dreams. Like to find them all real.